Now, today I wanted to talk about everyone's favorite player, Mr. Benjamin Simmons. And I just kind of wanted to focus on the prospect of him possibly, this season kind of returning to that all-star form he had for his first few seasons in Philadelphia. So I don't want to jump into this rabbit hole of, what happened in the 2021 playoffs and his holdout and whatever else. I mainly just want to focus on just is Ben going to return to all-star form or all-star, level-ish form this season? Now I'll go ahead and get it out of the way. I'm not one of those people that's just going to clown Ben and say that he's like some type of coward and that's why he's not been hardly playing for the Nets. I don't think that's the reason at all. And I will point out that it kind of seems like on the internet you have like two type of like comment sections when it comes to anything about Ben on social media. It's like you have one type of comment section that's going to totally clown Ben like tirelessly and funnily. And then you also have the other type of comment section where it's just like pure like positive regard for Ben. It's very funny if you look up like his recent preseason highlights for his first game. It's literally like the most wholesome like comment section I've ever seen on the internet. But I'll go ahead and give my perspective on why I think that Ben has not really been playing much for the Nets and not been playing that well for the most part while he's been with the Nets. And what are the prospects of him, possibly returning to his prime form? And I know that people get really frustrated with him because he just won't shoot. But even regardless of his inability or unwillingness to shoot, he was still playing at an all-star level for most of his time in Philly. But for the people that just like actually believe that Ben just won't play because he doesn't want to, he's had two back surgeries in the past two off seasons, and I don't think that's like that's not him faking or anything. I think he's actually having back problems. Yes, he did just absolutely rage quit on the Sixers basically, but with the Nets, it's really, if you really kind of read what he said and like his attitude, he seems to be happy to be with the Nets, or at least content. But really, the real reason why he hasn't been able to play or play well is because of his back problems. And this goes all the way back to Philadelphia. Early in his career, the first few seasons, he was pretty healthy, all things considered. But in that 2019-2020 season, or the bubble season, he was having his best year. I think that Joel Embiid went out, and I think he was out like all of January or all of February, and Ben stepped up as like the number one option. And he was averaging, he might have averaged like close to like 25 points in February or something. And then all of a sudden he gets a nerve impingement in his back, I think maybe late February or early March. And that was probably going to sideline him for the playoffs. And then we had COVID come, and Ben was healthy by the bubble, but then Ben had a knee injury that kept him out of the bubble playoffs. But then we fast forward to the next season, 2020, 2021. Infamous season with the Hawks series. He's healthy in that season for the most part, nothing serious. Then we go to the Nets, where he gets traded to the Nets, and even after the trade deadline, he's trying to kind of like ramp up and get in shape, and he gets, I think, a herniated disc, and he has to get back surgery for that, so he doesn't return to the playoffs for that. And then we come to last season, so the 2022-2023 season, and we see at the first he was not doing very well at all. They had to relegate him to kind of a bench role, and maybe that's just because he hadn't played in a long time, and that seemed to be what happened for about the first month of last season. And then about towards the end of November of last season, we see there's like a 10-day stretch of like 5 games or 6 games or something where Ben was actually going off. He was playing starter level minutes. I think he was starting as well. And he was getting, when he was in his prime in Philadelphia, he was averaging about 16. But during this run, he was averaging, somewhere between he was having 20-point games to 15-point games on very high efficiency. And I'm not someone that's just going to, bring up the box score. I actually watch those games. And he was looking basically like his prime self. It was kind of uncanny. It was very sudden as well. He was doing great for about 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden, it just totally fell off again, and then he started missing time with injury, and that kind of kept going on, and they ended up shutting down his season because I think he had another nerve impingement. Yeah, he did, and he had to get back surgery for that in this offseason. Now, that's a lot of back problems. Back problems for any sport, especially basketball, is, terrible. Like we've seen how that's kind of diminished players' careers. Like Dwight Howard, we've seen how that's kind of really messed up Michael Porter Jr.'s trajectory. But everything has been looking good for Ben this far this offseason in this first preseason game. Now, I know the meme about the Ben Simmons offseason videos where he's shooting threes. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like his actual health. He's actually kind of emphasized that his back is actually feeling 100%. He wasn't really saying that last season, or at least I don't remember him doing that. So it really seems like he's kind of made a point that he is feeling good, and I'll take his word on it for now. And he also, in this first preseason game, he looked really good, and he looked like he wasn't really holding back. You know, last season and when he was playing injured, he was just holding back. He just wouldn't attack the rack like for anything, and it showed in his play. But this preseason game, I know that's, you know, preseason's not on the level of NBA level or like NBA regular season level of intensity, but he was not afraid to attack the rack. He was, you know, moving in transition as well. He just seemed to be moving fine, and he seemed like he seemed very hungry. So these are all good signs, and once again, I just want to bring up his woes with the Nets are not the same as his woes with the Sixers. People bring up, you know, mental woes with the Sixers. Whatever you want to say about it, you know, those two had an ugly falling out, and you know, it wasn't a health injury. It wasn't a health thing with the Sixers in the end. But it was since he's come to the Nets, people have kind of been clowning him. The people in the clowning camp of this Ben Simmons saga are just basically saying that, you know, he's lazy or he's, you know, doesn't want to play, whatever else. I don't think that's the case, because I do remember, you know, people on the internet were clowning him because he didn't come into the Celtics series when the Celtics swept the Nets in the 2022 playoffs. And he ended up getting back surgery like right after that series. So I don't think it was so much of him not wanting to play, is more like he physically could not play. And it's kind of the same for this season as well. His season was just spiraling. They had to deactivate him, and then they eventually determined he was done for the season. He got back surgery after the season. So it's not... If you think Ben is, you know, like faking back surgery or something, go ahead. But I think that with the Nets, at least, his problems have been physical, not mental. So all in all, I'm feeling optimistic for Ben to actually kind of return to form, or at least close to form. Comparing to last season, like I said, he had the slow start, and then he kind of returned back to form for like 2 weeks, and then he fell off. I think the big difference here is that he's starting, you know, the offseason, the preseason, looking like he's returned to form. I think that's a big thing, because in between, you know, before those 2 weeks and after those 2 weeks last year, he just looked injured, or like his back. He just didn't want to attack the, you know, rim at all because of his back. But so far this offseason, he's emphasized that he is healthy, and he's looked healthy in this preseason game. We'll see how that holds up with the intensity of the NBA regular season, and it's very long and very brutal. So because of all that, I think more than likely he's going to have a mostly healthy season. And we've seen with other players that have, you know, a bunch of back surgeries, such as like Michael Porter Jr., they're able to string along some healthy seasons and play well. But what could a healthy season for Ben Simmons this year kind of entail? Now, personally, I think that if he's healthy, like I said, I think he can play at an all-star level. But I'm not saying that he's going to make the all-star team because, well, first, to become a starter, you got to win the fan votes. And then to become one of the reserves, you have to be voted in by coaches, I think by your conference. And I don't know how coaches probably feel about Ben. I'm assuming very bad. So he might not have that good of a chance to make the all-star team unless he really plays well above like the bubble line for like, you know, all-stars and fringe all-stars. Like I think he's going to have to average, you know, 20 or something like, you know, close to 20 points a game for him to be able to get the nod to be an all-star. It's probably unlikely. I think that he should probably be the second option on this team if he's healthy. That being Mikal Bridges will be the first option, of course. And we'll see what happens with Cam Thomas this year. He's shown some, you know, incredible scoring ability and sporadically. We'll see what kind of year he has. We'll see what happens with Ben, you know, and, you know, what his averages look like, I guess. But I do think that if he's playing healthy this year, I think he's going to play, you know, all-star-ish level. We'll see if these back problems are lingering at all. I do think that, you know, going forward in his career, I doubt this is going to be the last of his back problems, but we'll see how debilitating they will be. be. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more videos in the future. Comment something you have something to say, and thank y'all for watching. I guess I'll see y'all next time.